So what we did was we set up a small studio on location to scan Margot Robbie's face and give us the overall head model with textures and expressions. We then took that data into Maya and used the scan to build the final CG model with 4 different makeup looks.
So I knew if I have these 2 techniques, somewhere we will be able to make it work.
On the shoot, we set up 6 witness cameras synced to the timecode of the 35mm camera, which allowed us to have an accurate position of Margot Robbie in every shot in each stadium.
It really freed up the work, and then the great thing with 8FX is we're seeing the world. I mean, we're doing these shots that are, I think there's one shot that it's 3 shots stitched together, it ends up being like 2.5 minutes. That is non-stop and seeing everything.
As with sound or music, when effects actually start coming in and you start to really see the movie and not just what's you hope the movie's going to be, and it just becomes alive. It's such a difference. A full stadium is very different than an empty stadium, and the actual actress's face on her body is very different than somebody else with a little orange ball on top.
My role was to, just to take care about all the visual effects we needed to do for this movie, to make sure like everything was going good and going right with the budget we have, and all the effect we have to accomplish for this movie.
In all respects, this was like kind of a blissful film experience because we did do it independently. We had a lot of freedom, a lot of creative control. And I've had a long history with Jean-Marc, like with commercials, so we have a great shorthand. And that's why I really wanted to bring him in on this. I knew it was really demanding, it was going to be a tough schedule, and he could do it.
For the face replacement, there was different idea. Like Craig wanted to have this camera really handheld, moving, be free to move and going from something really close to her to something really wide where she's doing all the different figure skating.
We had Margot, which was amazing. She was so diligent and she trained 5 days a week for 5 months. And her with her skating coach figured out like how much they could do, and I was amazed. And she'd go out and she'd do like 30-40 seconds of it, and I was kind of astounded that she could pull it off.
We needed to combine different techniques. When she's getting really close, we were doing some traditional face replacement, which is like a more 2D approach where we quickly line up the shots and say, okay, let's shoot this head really quickly on a blue screen. Let's shoot Margot on a blue screen quickly and try to figure out the positioning of the head. And the other approach was to go into a full CG head replacement.
So the challenge of pulling off all of this amount of work in 3 months really challenged us. Our expertise with pipeline and our long-standing relationship with Craig Gillespie meant that we were able to pull it off.
It went like clockwork. Got them the shots, came in and made very few notes, and once we established the look, they ran with it. It was actually one of my least stressful parts of the process.
It was a great experience, a really, really, really great experience to work with Craig, to work with Tonya, also the editor. We were really close. The communication between us was really good, and the way we approached this work was really good. So it was a real pleasure to work on this movie.
This is a crazy story, and people who remember think that they know, but there are so many details to this story that make it even more unbelievable than you would think.
We really got to cast the right people for the roles. It's a rare thing sometimes that you can just literally put the best person in. Somebody described this to me once. They said it's a unicorn. It's like, that doesn't happen very often in this business.
We need to see a wholesome American family.
I don't have a wholesome American family.
I was embarrassed for you.
My entire life, I'd been told I wouldn't amount to anything. And you know what? Maybe I would.
It's dramatic and it's hilarious, and 1 minute you might be crying and the next you're going to be laughing.
Expect the unexpected. It's the story that everybody thinks they know, but don't.
The haters always say, Tonya, tell the truth.
Tonya, how do you feel about that?
There's no such thing as truth. Everyone has their own truth.
This was one of those projects that everyone kind of saw it the same way, and that is because the script was so good. The script had so much detail.
I was the best figure skater in the world at one point in time.
Everyone in America was aware of that incident. Everyone in the world. It was the first scandal around a sporting event. Someone paid someone to beat up a competitor. I mean, it was just salacious.
It was right when we started having CNN and 24-hour news, and they needed content, and this happened, and it just exploded.
The press wanted me to be the pile of crap.
In some ways, the movie is a cautionary tale of, look where we are now, and this was the beginning of all of that.
It was right before OJ.
There was a lot of things that were manufactured to sell headlines.
Now you can go and find a news station depending on your point of view. It's not just the facts, and that was really the beginning of all of that.
What is going on?
We're with the FBI.
They know something.
What can you tell us about Tonya Harding?
I don't know a Tony Harding.
Aren't you her bodyguard?
The thing that interested me about Tonya was that she was very unapologetic in terms of who she is and made no excuses. I mean, she calls herself a redneck in this sport where the judges want you to be this sort of old-timey version of what they think a woman should be, and she wouldn't play along.
She just didn't fit in with that world.
I just felt like there's so much more to the story, that things aren't just black or white, things are gray, and gray's a lot more interesting.
America, they want someone to love, but they want someone to hate.
I mean, come on! What kind of friggin' person bashes in their friend's knee? Who would do that to a friend?
Tell me Jeff Galooly's reaction when you told him about Nancy Kerrigan.
He seemed pretty happy. He was pretty pleased with himself, He thought it was great that he could get anything done that he wanted to. He, over time, started to develop a sort of, from the impression that he gave me, a sort of megalomaniacal power trip. I think he felt he had this hit team at his disposal and that he could do anything he wanted to.
But there is the feeling out there that the one who is power mad and who's megalomaniacal is you. That you had fantasies of espionage and that this whole thing was cooked up so that you could fulfill some deranged fantasy. What did Tonya Harding really know about the attack on Nancy Kerrigan?
Well, she knew that it had been initiated. She knew that a plan had been, was set to take place. She was really upset that, she was very upset that it wasn't happening, that it had taken so long.
But you know what they're saying on her side, that this was all you and there is no proof of any of this.
I had produced hard evidence.
You taped a meeting.
Derek Smith had me tape a meeting between us all that at a later date he could use the cassette as leverage against Jeff.
What happened to that tape? How do you feel about your role in all of this?
My role in all this, I feel disgusted. I'm disgusted that I've betrayed all of the things I've worked to achieve. When I was watching Nancy sitting there screaming, "Why me? Why me?" Automatically the thought that came into my mind was so that Tonya could win the Olympics.
Okay, let's try that last question again. How do you feel? And just maybe something very quiet with disgusted. Like almost take it a while and then almost ashamed of it, like truly ashamed. Like something very unique with the disgusted.
Meaning what I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Yeah. Do you mind if we take it like 2 lines back just to feel the vibe? Cool.
Right.
I'll start from Derek Smith.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Derek Smith had me tape a meeting between us all, so that at a later date he could use the cassette as leverage against Jeff.
So what happened to the tape?
Well, an overwhelming wave of fear came over me. I panicked. It was indescribable.
I'd been told I wouldn't amount to anything. And you know what? Maybe I would.
Critics are raving. I, Tonya is an insane true story. And now nominated for 3 Academy Awards.
The best of them.
Including Best Actress, Margot Robbie.
Skating is my whole life. What did you do?
And Best Supporting Actress, Allison Janney.
I made you a champion.
You cursed me.
Rolling Stone calls it one of the year's more unruly Oscar contenders.
What you all came for, folks.
I, Tonya, own it on digital March 2nd.